Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about the 8 limbs of yoga. And what a lot of people understand yoga as is an exercise class that's about an hour long and it's all about movement and postures. While that's entirely true, yoga is a lot more about the inward journey than it is the outward expression of what your body looks like. So that's why yoga can be good for everybody. There are a lot of things that you can get out of yoga, but what I'm going to be talking about are the 8 limbs of yoga. So let's get started. Yamas are the first step in the path to self-realization. And a yama is basically self-restraint. So there are 5 yamas, and they all work with how you react to things. The first one is an ahimsa, satya, asteya, apragara, and brahmacharya. And all 5 of them work with your mind. It's a mind practice. So ahimsa translates to nonviolence, satya translates into truthfulness, asteya translates into honesty, apragara translates into non-possessiveness, and brahmacharya is translated into divine conduct or the restraint of sexual action. And basically why these are also important is because your mind is like a pond. It's flat, and when you have a thought or an action that is caused from the opposite of some of these actions, like honesty or truthfulness, it will create a ripple effect, causing your mind to go deeper into what we call Maya. And Maya is essentially just a state of consciousness where you are not living in the present. You're living in a false reality. So the second step in yoga is a niyama, and what that is, it's a observation of the self. So basically, they're disciplines to harmonize the inner feelings and your attitude. So there's saucha, which translates into cleanliness, santosha, which translates into contentment. There is tapas, which is endurance, and then ishwar pratihindhyani, and that translates into cultivation of faith, and sawadhyaya is self-study. So you will practice all of these daily, regularly, and it will be a part of your regular life. So we all already do everything that I just mentioned. We all already think of being nonviolent, or speaking from your most authentic self, or being clean, being content with what you have, or cultivation of faith, which is like, I believe this will happen and it's for this reason. So if you have enough of a clear perspective of what these mean to you, then you will be able to practice yoga in a more in-depth way. So the third step is asana, and what that translates to is postures. So the importance of asana in a yoga sense is that your body moves regularly. Your body moves without you even realizing it. When you're mad, you clench your fists. When you're sad, your shoulders go forward. Your voice changes. Everything is taken into consideration when it comes to your mind and your body being connected. And tears are an actual physical representation of an emotion. So your body translates emotions, mental attitude into physical alignment and awareness. And you can see that in your everyday life. So asanas that are performed practices and physical techniques, even in the simplest postures, can have the most profoundly beneficial effect on all dimensions of a person. Helping to release physical and mental tensions, asanas are basically body postures that release emotionally stored trauma. It's amazing because there are these things called chakras, and they're energy centers going from the root of basically the base of your spine all the way to above your head. There are 7 of them, and they all rely on energy. They all are energy. And if you can move the energy from within to align your metaphysical chakras, you will see a huge shift in how you perceive reality on a daily basis. Pranayama is the 4th step in the 8 steps of the 8 limbs of yoga. And now everything that I had just mentioned, the yamas, niyamas, asanas, and pranayama, are here to step you forward into the next four limbs of yoga. So pranayama is basically breath balancing. It's a controlled intake and outflow of breath and is firmly established in posture. So Patanjali is a man who actually wrote an amazing book. Do I have it around? No, it's over there. I'll grab it later. I'll post or tell you guys about it. So Patanjali wrote the Yoga Sutras, and it's called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And basically, pranayama is the flow of energy from within, and it's based on your breath. So when you're in a different posture, or when you flow from posture to posture, it will heavily rely on the breath that you coordinate with the posture. So if you are in a yoga class, and let's say we're taking a yin yoga class, you will have a completely different breath technique than you will in a fast-paced, maybe hot vinyasa yoga class. The reason why is because there are different intentions behind the intended breath work with the intended asana work. So you can see here where your breath and your movement interconnect here. So, example, when you're angry, you might hold your breath. You might see a baby or a young child hold their breath, their face turn red, and then they pass out. So that's where you start to see things overlying with emotions, your breath, and your body's connections. If you've ever been in a yoga class and you've started crying out of nowhere, you're not even sad, it's because you're probably releasing a stored emotional trauma that isn't been worked with before. Which is actually amazing to have those releases just in a controlled setting so you can deal with it appropriately. But prana translates into life force or vital breath, and there are 5 vital forces, and they are prana vayu, apana vayu, samana vayu, udana vayu, and vyana vayu. All prana pervades in the individual body in these 5 different forms, and they will reflect heavily on the different parts of your intention. So I'm not going to explain those right now, even though I have it right here, because it's just something that you should be aware of, but something that it won't make a difference if you know or not. It does make a difference, but it's the pranayama that you want to understand, not so much the vayus, because as much as they are important, there is the breath technique that you need to understand first before you start picking it apart. The 5th step is sense control. It's pratyahara, and it's drawing the senses inward. The control of senses is your power. Your power is controlled by your breath and your movement. So if you can master those, even in just a slight form, you will be able to withdraw your senses and start a ridiculous meditation practice so you can see a lot more inward than you do maybe from an outward perspective. Pratyahara, as we sense, so we think. And as we think, so we tend to act. The sense control is initiated by conscious breathing and concentrated awareness, and not letting external circumstances distract or annoy us. So it's having that peace of mind, even when there's a fire going on next to you, somebody trying to yell at you on the other side, and maybe your manager texting you to come in on your day off. So it's having that peace of mind without any external forces changing that for you. Dharana is dharana is concentration. And these last 3 limbs of yoga, called Aratanga, is the internal yoga, occur solely in the mind of the yogin, which is the Atman of the yoga practitioner. They are altered states of consciousness and have no direct counterpart in the normal waking state. So it's everything about these are going to be within. You can look at a physical being here and a physical being here and see nothing different, but it's all the perspective of within and how much control they have of their inner mind. So dharana basically is a state of focused attention The mind learns to focus on a single object or thought. Concentration between the eyebrows helps to keep control and keep the body firm-minded. So you might have an ache. Your body's telling you to move. Your mind is also saying, that's not an ache. That's just my body saying, I want to move. So yes, it does make sense to move and get out of a posture, but the intention here is to reach a deeper state of consciousness that our bodies are used to not being a part of. So consistent practice will create a firm grounding in your action. So dhyana is a step after dharana. And over time, dharana starts to transform into dhyana, the state of meditation and the gateway to self-realization. So this is a little bit more advanced than even people who have been practicing for 50, 60, 70 years might not ever reach, but it's something that you're constantly working towards, and it's something that your mind is always in this one-pointed focus. It's very unlikely that somebody who is not focused in the action of yoga will not reach. There are parts of yoga that people may think that they got to, but it's because they're still so far back in the yamas that they haven't even been able to surpass that and reach the part that they want to. It's a lot of ego, and a lot of people misinterpret what they feel or think on the inside. Remember, if you're thinking, you're not meditating. So, so dhyana is the purpose of man's life, is to realize the higher self, or the Atman, and it merges with the existence, energy source, God, supreme consciousness. An enlightened master have realized this long ago and have basically devised plans, and that's how all of these came into source. Meditation allows the harmonization of koshas, alignment of all the chakras, and the connection to the self. In order to become a complete human being, this must be practiced. And samadhi is the very last step, but as we see it as the last step, it's really just the beginning of a peaceful mind. Samadhi is the transcendental state. The reason why I'm reading this is because there are some big words in here, and I would not be able to pronounce them if I didn't have it right in front of me. So, a transcendental state and the highest level of meditation. The highest state of consciousness and mind becomes still in the one-pointed, while the person remains conscious. Entering and maintaining samadhi initially takes great training and willpower. So, you can see anybody going online and looking up an hour meditation to fall asleep. Yes, that's amazing. No, I'm not telling you to stop that. Yes, I'm telling you that it will work to your advantage to maybe not move, or maybe to do it more consistently, but if it's something that you're practicing on your own, then continue doing it. Samadhi is something that all people want. It's what that little Om symbol represents. It's something that our minds are fixating on reaching, but keeping that in your mind will hold you back from experiencing it. And it's something that a lot of yogis will explain. Once you want that, you don't want it. You don't want it because you want it. Does that make sense? If you wanted it, you would release the attachment to the thought, which would bring you to the highest state of consciousness. Yeah, that's it. So those are the 8 limbs of yoga, and thank you for listening to my long-winded explanation. Thanks.